So from my perspective, it just happens to be the right time to be letting go of a lot of things. And like I mentioned, it's because I do feel a lot of new things coming in for me. And it's important on an energetic level to let go of things that we might be holding on to. It's always this continual process, right, of becoming aware of our own sin patterns that are still enslaving us. That's the great work, right? Using our life circumstances to trigger us into deeper healing so that we are not slaves, that we truly are liberating ourselves and becoming free agents to actually serve the kingdom, right? It's about being focused on a kingdom where people are not suffering, where people are living in love and joy. And that's been one of the hardest parts about this last week is unprecedented number of people in my life that are facing just absolute suffering and challenges. And what am I meant to do about that? I will say that I come from a past where my heart, the compassion has been there. I've always felt others around me. I've always felt their pain, and I've always felt like it was wrong. Like it's not the way it has to be. But where I didn't understand is that in my own arrogance and in my own rebellion, I was trying to solve the problems for people. I was taking on responsibility for their suffering, and I didn't even understand the situation we were in. So that was clearly not my place to do that. And so that's what was coming up in these last few weeks is my old reactions of wanting to fix it for people or take on the responsibility for people or just do something and not being able to live in a sense of peace, like without that, right? With the people that I love not being okay. But the truth was, after the many, many years that I have been alive at this point, it's clear that many of the times I thought I was helping people, I was absolutely not helping them. And these can engender many dysfunctional relationships. And when you wake up to this and recognize that you have actually, not only have you been powerless to actually help people, like truly help them, you've been unable to actually truly help them. But on top of that, you've possibly done damage to them. You've possibly further enslaved them in a mindset and programming and a system that really isn't good for any of us, right? You've sort of been part of a beast system that you didn't recognize you were being part of. And on top of that, you were in rebellion to what God's will was for you and for that purpose. And then in many ways, you've sabotaged yourself from blessings that you had coming. And a lot of this can be connected with guilt. Okay. A lot of this really can go down to guilt, which is one of the hardest emotions to get in touch with and to feel. It is the most painful in my opinion, and it is at the base of so many things. So, hello, hope you weren't looking for a lighthearted show today because we'll get into a bit more lighthearted topics, but we got to hit this first because I don't think I'm the only one who's dealing with this. I cannot tell you the number and the variety of different things that I came across that I just happened to hear about, right? There's so much that people go through that we don't even know that they're going through. And this came up a few weeks ago when I was on Don Jeffrey's show. And I spoke about that here, and I protest Don Jeffries, highly recommend his show here on Free World and other places you'll find him. His is more than just this topic, but he happened to have a show where he invited people on to talk about how financially they had been affected by COVID. And it went a whole nother direction. Like, I could not believe some of the things that people are dealing with, good-hearted, kind people. And then that's only continued to expand because these people just happen to come on there and share. But how often do you see somebody and you have no idea what they're actually dealing with? And in my own personal life, oh my gosh, the last few weeks, I have come face to face with, I had been thinking one thing about friends, and in reality, they were in a completely different place, and they're not complaining. They're not asking for anything at all. But the amount of struggle and the pain that they have been going through is so difficult, and it makes me speechless at times. I'll be honest with you. It truly makes me speechless because I I just don't think that people deserve this, you know? But that being said, because of the growth that I'm coming through, I recognize that it's not my place to fix it either. That the absolute most that I can do from my limited, lowly soldier position in the kingdom is to be obedient to what Christ can do through me, and to have the bigger thing is to have the prayers and the faith that he can reach them directly, and that they will be willing to reach up directly, right? That in many cases, I can't believe some of the Christianese that I have now come full circle to saying myself. As if you've listened to some of my previous shows, you know that I was a very reluctant Christian for a very long time. I have a past that I am not proud of, and am continually having to come to terms with and feel and see the ugliness of things that I was so arrogantly sure of, that I have now recognized I was not. And helping people was part of that. I wanted so much. That's not wrong to want to help people. I recognize that. I always had a heart to want to serve and help people. Where I got off was not being obedient to what God was asking me to do versus my own assertion of the system, of the situation, and my own stepping in. And this includes, first and foremost, my family.